things that make you unusual. I like the things that make you unique. I like the things that make you so different and outside of popular belief. Popular belief. I like the things that make you unusual. I like the things that make you unique. I like the things that make you so different and outside of popular belief.
I said you're unusual, so unique and wonderful. I said you're unusual, so freaky and divine.
Popular belief. Unusual. Be a freak. Be a star. Be a freak. No matter who you are, be a freak. A one of a kind. Be a star. You're mine, all mine. You're unusual. Yeah. Unusual. I like the things that make you unusual. I like the things that make you unique. I like the things that make you so different. I like the things that make you unusual. Outside, popular belief, you're unusual. Be a freak, be a star, be a freak. No matter who you are, be a freak. Be a star, one of a kind. Be a freak, be a freak, be a freak. No matter who you are. Be unusual.
I said you're unusual, so unique and wonderful. I said you're unusual, so freaky and divine. I said you're unusual, so unique and wonderful. I said you're unusual, so freaky and divine. Unusual.
One of a kind. You're unusual.
I said you're unusual.
I like the things that make you unusual. I like the things that make you unique. Unique. I like the things that make you so different. I like the things that make you so different and outside of popular belief. Outside popular belief. Popular belief. Popular belief. Outside. You're unusual.
Yes, 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 and welcome to the Monday night dance party. Welcome to the Fool's Journey. It is a Monday night again, and
it's definitely unusual.
That was super unusual, and you know what? At first, I thought that it was footage from some of the recent festivals that you're at, but then I saw Brandon and some of the old footage that I recognize. Is that a mix? Is that new stuff or just old stuff?
No, the footage is all like very, very
old stuff. And I see Audrey Asuto out there. Welcome, Audrey, a new name.
Audrey, what's up? Hey.
Welcome to the Fool's Journey.
And as always, Jilly, so happy to see you.
Yes, what's up, Jilly? Celestial, Rick, good to see the family out there. And I realized watching that there's another accreditation that we can add to your name, and that is lead singer. You are actually the lead singer of whatever project that is. Did you have
138 hertz?
Did you have an actual chorus? Like, was that an actual chorus I heard in there? There was some singers like. What was happening in there? There was like a part where there was some singing going on, like a
no. That's Brandon does all the chick voices.
Wow, awesome.
You know, and we like jack up our voices an octave, and he does a really good falsetto.
That's so awesome. That's awesome.
Made it happen, yeah.
We have Audrey saying she's catching up on all the recorded episodes. Thank you so much, Audrey. We love hearing that, and Jilly is welcoming Audrey to the family. And it's been a long weekend. I didn't shave. It's a Memorial Day weekend. I just I've been lazy and just enjoying the time off. How's your weekend been going?
No, where's your headspace been last week or so?
I think we were talking earlier. It's been again, I don't always like saying these things out loud, but it's been a little bit of a struggle. I think navigating some outside circumstances, and but I think or I know that the navigation is taking its course, and things are about to change, and on those fronts, let's just say. What about you? Where's your headspace at?
I've been in a really kind of strange emotional space the last few weeks. I went through the surgery. Surgery went way cool. I got the clean bill of health. I feel like solid for the first time in a long time. That part of it feels really good. And I kind of thought I'd get like this massive like happy boost out of that, but it's kind of like, I'll be honest, I really haven't. I'm like, I've been really moody. I've been really like, wow. I've been super like withdrawn. Like, man, I've like get pulled back into I've been living the hermit card, man, in my cave.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, I'm really happy for the show tonight, just to get to come out and go interact, because I like just kind of shut myself down.
Good. Well, I'm happy to see you. But it seems like you. I mean, you've had over the last, like we were just talking about how it's already freaking almost June and the year is like half over, which is really really nuts. But this year you seem to have a good year. You kind of hooked up with a new tribe of people. You were doing
It's been
festivals.
awesome. I really have no reason to be pissed
Mhm.
off or upset or bummed out, and and that's sort of like pisses me off that I should be like not feeling shitty, and I am.
Oh, well, we love you. I'm gonna. You know what? I'll tell you something
Oh,
good.
that's all good. It's just part of it, dude.
Yes, and Audrey's out there. We love you, B. Hermiting happens. We love you, but you'll be interested to know. This morning, I woke up actually early and I did this. I guess it was a qigong routine. It was like it was a YouTube video, but it was like this monk guy. He didn't say anything, and
I've
he
seen
just
that. I've seen those. Those are pretty good, dude.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
clue
So,
into those. Those
I
are
did some
great.
tapping, I did some activating, and then there was this one part where I was like, "Oh, that's Brian's thing where you take all the energy, you raise it up, and then you push it down."
Yeah, there
And
you go. There's a
and
bunch
I
of
was
videos
like,
that are
"Oh,
really good, man.
y-
I've recommended those to a few people. I think those are great.
yeah, yeah." And that's and I like I got it because of what you had done. I knew what was going on, and I knew that qigong was, all about moving energy around, you know what I mean? And it's
You
like,
know, my gig is so much more like kung fu and qigong than it is about spells and conjuring spirits and stuff. Now it's like that's so much about that. All of that is about moving energy and that way that all works. And
yeah.
it's a really cool thing. I hate to admit this, but I love some of the cheesy like kung fu movies. Man, there's some amazing kung fu movies out there, man. There's this movie called Hero with Jet Li in it. Dude,
First
have
of all,
you've got to see this movie. This movie won like a bunch of international awards. Like every single scene of that looks like
really?
somebody painted it. It's
Right.
amazing. Like the design of that, the art direction on that, like the photography in that movie. You could turn the sound off, it would be amazing.
Wow, Hero with Jet Li. I got.
Hero, yeah.
I'm gonna write that down.
It's
I got my,
super easy
I
to
got my
find.
pencil.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down. Nice.
It's been on a bunch of the streaming things. You won't have any problem finding that at all.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, on my spiritual front, I binge watched the Muppet Mayhem, which was the new Muppet series all about the band, the Electric Mayhem. It was actually it was really done well. It was kind of a nice visit back to the Muppets. When I was a kid, I used to watch the Muppets, so it was a nice visit back to that. And I'm a bit, I'm into music and all of that stuff, so it had that whole element, and it was
Well, if you're into binge watching, I have to say I got sucked into this, man. Lee like turned me onto this, and I'm like, okay, let me see what's going on. It's a show that's on Netflix called Alchemy of Souls. And man, it's 2 seasons and it is crazy good. I like got sucked into it on the first episode. I'm like,
Alchemy of Souls. All right, I got a
being
lot.
on it, it was in the background of everything I was working on. Yeah, it was great.
We haven't
And,
even
and I
started that.
love, I love one of the things I love the most about it is that the effects that they did, and for a series show, the CG effects were pretty darn good. And the way they make the energy look in a lot of those scenes is like,
Oh, that's
somebody
awesome.
that knows did
That's
this.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
really.
So we haven't even started. I've already got notes already going. I've got the Hero and Alchemy of Saints,
Yeah,
Celestial,
well, there
and
you go. There you
Animal.
go.
Animal is so great. Jilly Animal. If you guys like the Muppets, you should check out Muppets Mayhem. It's definitely a nice trip down memory lane. I can't believe where I'm pushing the Muppet Show on the Fool's Journey here, but
Hey man, show a clip, man. I got room.
it's all good. Alchemy of Souls is on Celestial's watch list as well. So awesome.
Hey, yeah, Celestial, have you started checking it out yet? The delay just kills me, man. Yeah.
I know, right? You can't have exactly quite a real time. You and me can have real time conversations, but we got to wait to hear responses
Yeah.
from people,
Exactly.
and she says not yet. But she's checking that out, and Julie.
Oh, well worth it, man. But make sure you have a little time because I think once you get going on it, you'll get like sucked in. It's
I
pretty
try not to binge watch, like actually sit and like watch a whole series at once, but it's nice to be able to watch 2 or 3 when you're like into it, and you're like, let me just do another one.
Well, yeah, I get like a cocaine addict on there. Oh, let me just do one more episode and I'll go to bed.
It is funny
No,
the
it
way
didn't quite work that way. Not but it's fun, I mean, a really good show about magic where like you get to see really good magic effects like done out. I'm a
totally.
sucker.
Totally. I will check it out. Well, speaking of magic and effects, and let's get back to business. The Fool's Journey. Julie, see, our studio audience is I got the Mayhem bus ornament moving right along. That's awesome. Yeah. Very
Nice.
good stuff. Very good stuff. So I fixed some notes that I had wrong last week. I couldn't believe it, but I had swords and cups mixed up as far as air and water. But now I think I'm straight on that emotion and thinking, and I think I'm back.
Now, that's where that permission to suck thing comes in.
Yeah.
I know it's uncomfortable at the moment, but when you sort of get put on the spot and you go, shit, I don't know. And then you like learn it. I don't know. But like for me, always burns into my like stupid self. Like
Right.
better,
Right.
So.
I was, last week I was surprised when you said, well, what goes into a cup? Water. I was like, I'm like, I don't know if I heard that yet. So I was kind of surprised, but a lot of the other.
Honestly, if you really think about all of it, the whole system, metaphorically in context of everyday stuff,
right,
it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It really does. It's not as esoteric and out there as people think that it is. And it was really made to be here and to bring that part down here, and that's kind of a cool thing about it. So anyway, we're coming to kind of a milestone on these tonight. We're going to be doing focusing on the King of Wands, but we'll also spend some time going across and visiting the other dudes as well, and talking about the knights in general. In most tarot decks, the next card after the Queen is the King. In my tarot deck, homage to Crowley and the Toth deck, and the way I'd learned. I'd bred with that deck for like 20 years, so it was just so ingrained in me. That's just the way I saw it. And the other thing I like about it too is it's sort of so anyway. My kings are referred to as knights. There are no kings in it, and it really makes the Queen the kind of the badass of that whole like group. And as a matter of fact, we'll talk about this a little more in length later. But like the kings, it's like the emperor, the kings. They can say, "Yeah, go ahead," but then somebody has to go ahead and actually make it real. And that's always the Queen. Like the Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, okay. King of Pentacles, good business strategy. Out the Queen of Pentacles, forget it. So, and then you've got the kind of like frenetic and intense, youthful energy of the Prince that kind of drives that along. But everybody thinks that it happens with the King. The King says, "Yeah," and then it's like there. The King just says, "Yeah, you can do it," and then other people make it be there, which is that was an way to look at that to me, and that made the whole reason for the knights being or making it, the Queen kind of having that materialization part of that.
Gotcha.
Made that like, yeah, I like putting the emphasis on that.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to do it, I think. Nice. Very nice. Cool. Okay.
So then we'll do the rest of the kings, and then I've got a couple of questions I brought in with me from outside source, and I want to do some like real readings. We'll clean the cards and like do the whole layout. Yeah, I want to really.
I'm excited about that. Yes, do you guys do that? Yeah. We're doing some real readings here tonight on the Fool's Journey. I'm excited. All right. So you
So,
want me to, you
why
want
don't
to
you
bring?
pull up the king or the Knight of Wands?
Yeah.
You know, I love this card. This is one of my favorite cards. And if when you know when you look at it this size, it is so clear. This like guy, this like king on fire, sitting there just blazing. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
yeah, I love that. You know, and the thing about this, all of the kings are kind of like you know the large in charge. You know, and this king is like bright and the sun and like is all about like confidence and um, energy and being out in front like a total leader. Like if you thought about you know King Richard or like oh King Arthur's perfect example you
Mhm,
know
mhm.
of
Yeah.
making that you know so like this mythical like consumes the energy of the room when they walk in and people desire to follow that because that confidence exuding from him exudes to everybody else surrounding him and makes them want to like wow what's that from like I want to go there really awesome.
Wow. Yeah, it's a very, very powerful image in this card. Now, I see here also it says can be evil-minded, cruel, bigoted, and brutal. What is that about?
Every card has a flip side you know
Duality,
every single card has a light and dark
duality
side
to it.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And especially when it's dealing with people, every person has a dark and light side. There's no like perfectly good people and no perfectly
Right,
evil people.
right.
Well, maybe a few.
I even see some like some animal faces down here and like a pet tiger.
You know, yeah, several. And no matter where you focus on that, you'll see why don't you blow it up just a little bit. Let's take a look at that. Like the birds next to his head too, like the hawks.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So
You
great.
know, a lot of people have said my cards remind them of aliens, and I don't really disagree.
It's like not I like the word in the description used as aliens, but it's not like the typical alien. It's like almost like a combination of an alien slash angel slash demon slash
Well,
spirit slash.
I don't look at it as an alien, like you know, one of the aliens that get channeled from other planets or somewhere in the solar system. I
Right.
see it alien as it's an archetype, an actual condensation, like in that smoke of another entity from a different frequency.
Yeah, man. It's
And
crazy.
that blows me away.
So cool.
I've
Yeah, yeah,
never
yeah. Oh, I agree. Totally blows me away. I love it.
yeah, yeah. So, like, what kind of person would you imagine pulling this card? What you know, you see this card in your layout. What kind of person would you think this would be? You know anybody that you think would be like a good example?
Interesting. Yeah, I do, but not in a good way, I think. Like more in like somebody who's trying to wield power. Um
Well, I mean that would fit with what you were just bringing up a second ago
yeah,
about
the
you
dual,
know as
yeah.
much as you know most of the time this card in its positive zone, the king is super generous. You know, he's like really energetic. He's really fair. It's
Mhm.
not a frenetic kind of like all over the place kind of energy. It's like, man, if you need the drive to make something actually happen, that's the source, you know?
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
So, like, he is not an evil person by any stretch of the imagination. But you
mhm.
know what? I have noticed over the years and the many decades that I've been trodden around here that as good a person as they might seem, as soon as money of any kind of significance comes involved, you see a whole different side of most people.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think where I've seen that side of this card the most has been in readings that I've been doing for people where they were asking about an inheritance or
Wow.
you know some business deal where they were unsure of the person on the other side of the deal and like
Right.
different scenarios that kind of lead you to that, that would exemplify that kind of.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And
Wow.
at its extreme, it's the kind of person that would lead a cult.
Right.
Like Jim Jones and
Like
Jones.
very ego-based kind of.
Yeah. Well, lost souls looking for some light, even if it isn't the right light, sometimes they'll latch on, if it fills it up for a little while. But when the Kool-Aid starts coming around, I'm hitting the road.
Yeah, I'll pass. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, awesome, very cool.
All right, so let's move on over to the Knight of Cups.
All righty. Oh yes, look at that. I love these.
This is the cup my teacher uses for me as a significator, which is the card that would represent you. Okay, just quickly with significator, this is the way old school readers always read, and I read this way for a long time, where you like reach out and you get a flavor of the person you're about to read for, and you select the card in the deck that represents them. And in this case, it would be the Nine of Cups for me. That was my teacher's selection, and that at the time embodied the qualities that he thought I'd have. All right, so you shuffle up the deck, you kind of like go through the deck until you find that card. Like, okay, here we go. Well, there's that card. That card goes down, and a lot of the readings, it's in a Celtic cross sort of scenario. A bunch of different kinds of readings for that. But then once that card, that significator, is kind of like put down in the heart of the reading, then the rest of the cards get pulled out, and that's how that connects to that. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and the thing that's really cool about this card, it's like a really emotional, empathic person, but not in a kind of like over the top where this knight's emotions. He rules his emotions. His emotions don't rule him. He feels them fully, but they don't wash over him and control his actions. And because of that, he has like this depth of inspiration, this depth of love and compassion in a really super creative way. There are a lot of artists that this relates to, and it's kind of a very, very cool card.
Yeah, as you were talking about how your teacher used this to describe you, I see a wizard. I see a cloak here, looking down in his own hands, like kind of like
Well, it looks like a book spread where the
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh wow, I didn't even see the book until you.
book.
Yeah, I see the book. Yeah, wow. Yeah, man, that's a wizard for sure. And I love to.
Up a little bit.
What's that? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the book in his hands. That's awesome. I love that. Something I don't think I ever talked about is the. I mean, I know this isn't light painting. This is incense, but the light painting is the energetic, the actual light that seems to come from your images. You know what I mean? They have their own. It's almost like they bring their own light. They are their own light source. It's very cool.
Exactly. Well, I was really, really blessed to work with a couple of an amazing photographer and amazing director of photography. And his name was Greg Califano. And every single time I shot with him, if we could use the sun as a light source and bounce it around off of reflectors and stuff like that, man, his stuff was always just, So I sucked him for every single piece of information.
That's awesome.
And really learned a lot from him. And there's a moment that's really just millimeters apart where it's like really beautiful, and then it's like, and it's like so close,
Oh, that's awesome. I love the way you describe that. Also, you know what? You brought back a memory. I love people don't even realize the power of the sun when you're like out in natural light, like let's say on a beach, and you have one of those big round reflectors, and you could start aiming it like a freaking light. It's like people are like, "Holy crap, that thing's like a spotlight!" And it's like, "Well, yeah, you know,
Well, and it actually has heat coming off of it
yeah,
too, man. You can cook somebody if it's like
yeah,
in the right sort of like shape.
yep, totally, totally."
Oops, sorry about that. Third-degree burn.
Totally. That's really funny. That reminds me of a story. I met this woman. Somebody told me you've got to meet Lynn, this woman Lynn. She's a light worker, she's a healer. And I'm not big on the terminology, spiritual journey, this, that, the other thing, it's all the same to me. It's all a big melting pot of the same oneness. Um, but I said something to her and we were just chatting. I said, I'm not really a light worker per se, because I was thinking about, a psychic medium or a tarot reader or somebody who a healer. And she said, I don't believe that. And she said, what do you do? I said, I'm a photographer. And she said, photographers work with light. And I was like, I guess you're right. I guess, I'm a light worker. And it was just a memorable conversation that I had. Where I got chills from a text.
Well, the second you start pushing your light around, you're a light worker.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, how about bringing up the words on the side of the card?
Okay, so we got a fair older man who is a dreamer or very creative, graceful, poetic, indolent. I don't know that word, indolent, but enthusiastic if roused. What is indolent?
Very disrespectful at times.
Okay.
Full of himself and disrespectful.
I like learning new vocabulary words.
Now look at that card with the way you have it cropped now.
Yeah.
And those two dark spots at the top, it's like a whole nother face.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there's a nose right in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen, we could look at these for hours. We could have a show for each card and just spend hours just looking at it. And
I'd like
people comment what they're seeing.
10 years going on 11 now, and I'm still finding things like all the time. It's really kind of crazy. Depending on what your emotional content is when you look at them, there usually winds up being a central image that you lock onto.
Right.
But then depending on what mood you're in and what you're asking about for yourself or the person that you're reading for,
right,
whatever the emotion of that connects to, and it's like, wow, every single one.
Cool. That's just like what a testament to energy and magic. You know what I mean? Like that's just amazing. That's
I'm really proud this will live way past me.
That
makes me really happy.
Yeah.
All right, let's any questions on this one, Mr. Zinn?
No, this is great. This is awesome. I mean,
all right.
I read up beforehand. I kind of took your advice and I read a little bit beforehand, and I was like, all right, the knights are all great, and I kind of got that whole kings thing. They're all good, but then I was looking at the words and I was wondering about that duality. But that's like you said, duality exists on all the cards. Every card has its own version of duality.
The best example of that is the tower for me.
Yeah,
because most people see the tower as a really horrendous, awful thing, which it is if you're the people in the tower getting your world blown up. But if you're the lightning, it's a completely different card.
Right.
So anyway, let's move on to
awesome
Knight of Swords.
All right. Oh, swords. Here we go.
This is just from an art standpoint, one of my favorite cards. I love this card.
As far as like the image goes, beautiful image. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like this old wise, like, man, the eyes looking back at you on that one, and it's on top of a sword. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, too cool.
Anyway,
yeah. That was one of the ones, like, I enjoyed the process of making it because so often I'd be looking through the images and I'd see the one that like clicked and I'd get knocked off the back of my chair. Like, wow, that's just so surprising. I mean, come on. It's the eye sitting there staring back at you.
And I think I talked about this last time. It's just so amazing that you've still, like, you're still doing this kind of stuff, but evolved. You know what I mean? And your images, like, that they reflect that they still have like a same kind of energy to them, but they're like so much more evolved now.
Well, I was using the smoke and light, and now I'm just using light all by itself with occasional smoke. Okay, so this is the swords. Tell me about the swords and what kind of energy we'll be dealing with this guy.
Serious
Do it.
professional.
Come on, Zen. I know you can do it.
This is no nonsense.
This is the one that you like switched it with last week. Come on.
Aaron, when I switched Aaron Water emotion.
No, that's the one you switched it with.
And so it should be thinking.
Yes, mental processing.
Right. So this is that's what I said. No nonsense.
Okay, so this guy is really, like, speaking of no nonsense. If you thought the Queen of Swords was don't go to her with some bullshit, this guy, man, it's a sword, like a really sharp dual-edged sword that will cut your fucking head off. And he like suffers no fools, no lies, no deceit, like he's like straight to the bone. Give me the facts. This is not an emotional, full of empathy person, but this is a really super fair person, and but plays it by the book.
Right.
And there's no rule bending depending on how you want.
Right. That was actually a good way to describe. I guess what I was thinking in my head was not emotional, like somebody who's just like, here's the answer. No, I'm not gonna. No feelings involved. It's all business.
He is, however, of all of the knights, like the master planner. And when it comes to like figuring out how to do, it's like the Knight of Wands is about, yeah, let's go do something big, man. Here's the energy. Let's go. Come on, I've got the plan. Let's go do it. The Knight of Cups is like, yeah, we feel great about this, man. This is amazing. We've got all this crazy desire to make this happen. And now the Knight of Swords is now like, yeah, that's all really good. Now how do we do it? And he's like building the architecture of the structure that needs and the construct that needs to go into making that actually happen in the physical world.
Right. This is how we have to do it. We have to do this first, then this, then this, then this.
Nothing happens just as much as people think it does. I'm like gobsmacked with how many people think they can just sit around and watch Netflix and think they can get like enlightened.
Right.
Okay. Or anything else.
You mean binging Muppet Mayhem is not going to enhance my spirituality in any way?
If you're looking for it, who knows, bro? And hope springs eternal, bro. You tell me.
You know what? Everything in balance, everything in moderation.
So anyway, the Knight of Swords is really strong as well, and the plans that he comes up with usually are really like deep and well thought out, and they're not just like spur of the moment kind of scenarios, right? So if you see this in a reading and you're talking about business and this comes up, you're probably looking at the guy who's the boss or the brains of the situation, maybe not necessarily the boss of this situation. Most of the time, there's the guy that's at the top that has the kind of the initial vision, but there's also usually, there's a brain behind that like is making that actually real. And how does that actually happen on a day-to-day basis, while the visionary is still looking out and getting more visions, right? So why don't you blow that up a little bit? Let's take a look at the words on the side.
A serious professional man, active, clever, subtle, fierce, delicate, courageous, skillful, but inclined to domineer.
That's true. All of the kings will do that if you're not strong.
Yeah.
So that's another clue. Like when you're thinking about, the kind of person that you're talking to across the table, that person is very domineering, and you have to put forth you go into that meeting having to put forth kind of a strong persona. So it's like you're not going to get taken advantage of, and it kind of gives you clues on how and depending on what the modifying card is on top of that card, it gives you clues on how that person is going to conduct himself with you, which is really, 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 really can't stress enough some of the
Yeah,
best information.
that's interesting. Yeah.
All right, let's go over to the King of Pentacles.
All right. And here we go. Nice. Oh,
Yeah, this one is badass too. I love this one. Actually, this is the only no, there's one other card in the deck, but this is one of the very few cards. I did this on the third edition of the deck and replaced the original. Oh, it was the Priestess. Yeah. I replaced this and the original Priestess card with new cards.
oh,
So the editions that are out now are different than the first three editions. But I'm like, so this one, it's as much as the Knight of Swords is a persona to me. This is as well, and the crown and the whole like
yeah.
beard. Yeah, it's just really kind of crazy. And this is
So
where all of
crazy.
those plans come to fruition. This is the guy that starts like earmarking this to go do this, go do this, go do this. And then the queen begins making all that real. And she's like the one that's really like honing that. And the
Right.
end of that is like that manifesting into reality.
Right. Well, you know, and as you were talking about that, you said something that made me suddenly I could see a weird connection between this and like the traditional king cards in a deck of cards. You know what I mean? Like some quality to it. I can't even describe what it is. It's just like maybe the curly little beards or something, like I don't know, whatever, the facial.
The weird crown thing too.
Yeah, but it just all of a sudden I was like, oh wow, that does kind of look like a playing card. It kind of has
And the way, like on a lot of the king robes, you got that like cowl around the side,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
got that
yeah,
weird
yeah, yeah.
fur with the white with the black things on it, right? It's kind of like that sort of his cowl, and the energy coming up from his solar plexus is like pretty intense.
Amazing. Yeah,
And there's a
amazing.
little guy, man. If you like micro focus, like right into the center of it, there's a little guy right in his beard and his mouth,
Oh, yeah.
standing on top of a skull.
Wow. So I would love to hear what you guys out there think of these as far as like image interpretations and what you see in these cards. Because I know, Brian and I, we look at these and like we can pull out stuff for hours, but I would love to get a little interactive thing going. If you guys, anytime from now until the future, in the comments, if you're seeing this in the past, just
Yeah, I would really
let
love
us
that as
let us know
well.
what you see. Yeah, I'm curious. Very cool, Brian. These are again amazing, amazing job. This whole, like you said, it's just so cool that this whole deck will exist in eternity now. It's like it's got its own consciousness.
Well, that's the Kings. So next week we will start on the Ace of Cups, which I'm pretty happy to get to, actually. The Ace of Cups is kind of like the beginning of love. That moment that it's not love hasn't gotten there yet, but it's those moments where your soul kind of like and your energy kind of goes, "Ooh, I think I'm ready." Kind of like starts to send out "I'm ready" vibes. So
Awesome. I'm
it's really
excited
kind of
about
that
that.
card. It's also like one of the best cards for uh, your intuition and your opening your telekinetic or your telepathic skills of all kinds,
Cool.
which is really super cool. All right, so
I think Julie is saying solar plexus muscle man. She's telling us what she's
yeah,
like.
yeah, exactly. So why don't you bring up a few of those lightning
Okay,
things? Let me grab
great,
a little drinkage, and then we'll do the reading.
cool.
Be right back.
All right, so I'm going to put these up. These are some of Brian's newer images he sent to me to share. And I mean, I don't want to go too quickly, so I'm not going to go too quickly through them, but these are some beautiful new light painting images. I've got like 40 different ones here, so I want to show them all. And he's actually got the reflected images, so these are reflected, and then we've got the original images somewhere too. So these are the reflected ones. Brian, do you have any descriptions, or you just want me to kind of go through these?
Well, these are all, like I've been told over the years that my stuff kind of feels a little bit like the Giger stuff, HR Giger stuff. And
Yeah.
these really, like, of anything that anyone's ever told me about, these feel like that to me. And I love the layers of reality that those represent to me. Like each one of those layers is kind of like a new layer of frequency that going down through. Yeah, boy, that's, those just came out really sweet.
Oh, you know what? And that reminds me, I don't remember if I said it last week, but you had some images, I think, that were in the new video, and I guess they were taken in a library, right? And or there's bookshelves behind, and it really reminded me of what the heck is that movie, Interstellar. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but
I have, yeah.
the way they represent the continuum, with that library, and it just really reminded me of that. This is wow. I didn't even see that at first, the whole Giger thing, but this is definitely, I'm a big fan, and this definitely is starting to.
Well, the color tones, like it's just so those grays and blues, and but then for something completely different.
Yeah. These are awesome. These are beautiful.
I've been experimenting with different kinds of wings, new wing things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That one actually looks like one of those moths. Those crazy moths.
Kind of diaphanous wings, like
yeah.
sort of little feathery kind of things in there if you blow it up big. But yeah, that's really love them.
Totally.
Really nice textures. I'm just really happy with those textures. I'm going to work on doing some colorizations on those, adding some of those. Jilly sent me this amazing pack of like little gels that
Nice.
are awesome. Yeah, and so I'm gonna like mess some of those up on top of the little rods I've been using and see what I can come up with.
Very, very cool. Yeah, and like you said, the layers, because now you have this kind of reality layer in there, of the 3D world, the beads.
I love the texture of that in the background.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. And that
I'm
was
really big on that right now. Ever since I went to the festival and did those paintings with the kind of washed out old mural behind the light mountain, it's just like,
I love that. Yeah, that did totally added a whole new layer in there. It was great.
Yeah. This one's a real favorite, man. It's
Look at that. That's like
Buddha sitting there, right?
Yeah, totally. That's a total Buddha sitting there with his auric fields. Everything is like amazing. Wow, look at that one. I love that, Brian. That's awesome. I think we're almost through the
blank space,
mirrored ones. Yeah. Wow. And there's a little, I think, Christ stuff happening in some of these.
Oh man, there's all kinds of stuff going on in there.
Some really cool stuff.
Well, listen, let's get on with the reading.
All right, let's get on with the reading
next week. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. I'm gonna make you big and me small. There we go.
Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just do a real quick cleansing on me, a grounding on me, a little charge up, and then I'm going to clean the cards and get those all ready. I've already done a really pretty decent shuffle on them. I'll probably do it a quick again. ground any negative energy of any kind of my own construction or anyone else's. I ground any emotional goo. I ground the voluminous mass of emotional goo. Mainly of my own construction. I ground on a mental goo, circle thinking, Nine of Swords, projections, any negative mental connotations, arguments. I ground any material goo of any kind, any blockages in the way of anything financial, any health modes, anything that's in the way of your in the world prosperity and moving ahead. Ground that now. All right, I'm going to take these cards and take that solar plexus energy that we used to move the rod with, and I'm going to like blast these cards out. Okay, now I'm going to do a quick little charge up. Once we've gotten rid of all that juice, let's just charge up, and I'll charge up the cards at the same time. I reach down in the middle of the earth and pull up that electric, creative potential, zappy blue electromagnetic energy just to fill me to the brim. Right. Now I have a question in mind from somebody who asked me to do this earlier. I'm going to do a quick shuffle. Kind of important, so I don't want to rush this.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. So this reading is about somebody thinking about moving across the country. Okay. So I always pulled. This is the card that came up when I cut the cards. This is the undercut card, right? Mm-hmm.
It's the Ten of Swords. This card isn't actually part of my readings, but this card sort of sets the tone for how the reading might go. So already the Ten of Swords is like, okay, we'll see what happens.
feel like I should put on.
Well, it's actually not so bad. Maybe it's just the depth of like moving from here that sort of represented, which is highly possible. So the mindset is like this gig like in Oregon all the way across the country. So the very first column is the energy column, and it's the 10 of cups, which is not necessary. It's a good card. It's about like really the depth of emotional satisfaction. And this is in the immediate past column as well. But this card is in the fire column. We haven't really like gone after that all that much. But that card, but the fact that it's in a water card in the fire column um, uh, really dilutes it a lot, right? So the thing of the moment is um, the Princess of Pentacles, which would be a younger woman. And the way that will play out is the card art, which is the card for alchemy. And that's about changing two opposite things, bringing those together and into the fire of forging, and it comes out as a third thing. Like in a lot of the Rider Waite deck and other decks, it's an angel that's standing there taking fire and water and combining those. And if you remember, my video was that same thing, of taking those two opposite elements, combining those and having those be a third thing. So that woman is going to play a role in changing the direction of this progression. And then the last card is the the Eight of Wands, and the Eight of Wands is about getting news relatively quickly. So the news that they're waiting on is going to come to. It's actually probably already waiting for them. And since it's Memorial Day weekend, it probably like got jagged back a little bit, but I get the really impression that it'll happen really, really super fast. So we're looking at an energy column that is emotional. So, there's been some emotional satisfaction. There's a younger woman that like makes things happen, that is in the middle of transforming herself and things around her, and getting some news on a new kind of way of living, because that move will represent a completely different way of life. And
Right.
so but you'll get that news in a hurry, and that was the Eight of Wands. All right, so moving on over to the next column, which is the water column. This is great, right? This is the emotions. This is the emotions that create the desire, that forms that energy, that takes that potential energy, that energy to transform it and make it something different into a thing bigger than itself. And this is the desire that shapes that. This is the Empress. Which is the earth mother. It's pleasure, it's love, it's like making sure no one is left out. It's like everything about the home, and like moving and being in a place where they're welcomed and feel happy and secure. And that's really the greatest thing about this card, is like the depth of security that this woman will go to no end to like make that happen for the people that she really loves.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is the Three of Pentacles. Great card, man, because this card represents like you've gone to work at your craft, and now it's taken off, and now you're the
You're the expert.
Yeah. Well, you're not just the expert, because like the Eight of Pentacles is like the apprentice guy, and the guy learning like all this really deep stuff. But this card represents like you're already on top of it, man, and you're making money. You're the guy in demand, right? You're like it's like the top of the financial wave for you, as well as the creative wave. And getting recognition for your work is, I mean, what person doesn't love that, especially when they poured everything they have into getting there, right? And then the last card in the water thing, which is emotions, is the Three of Cups. And you got any idea on this one, Zen?
Three of Cups.
This card is the celebration. Okay.
Yes, the wedding celebration.
Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups is the moment when your soul knows it's ready for a relationship. It's like, wow, man, there's this part of me that's ready. Like, I know, like, I don't know who it is, what it is, but like, I can feel it.
But you just know, yeah.
Right. The Two of Cups is when you like, now you're in that Ace of Cups energy, and now you're walking down the street, you go into a bar, and without thinking about it, and you sit down at the bar, order your drink, you go across the bar, and like you connect with this other person. It's like, ching! Like, so there's this whole like connection where that happens, and then that's about like exploring that connection and seeing where that goes. And the Three of Cups is the celebration at the wedding ceremony,
right,
where everybody got together. Like, this is a really great card where everybody's super happy.
Yeah, overall, I'm thinking that this is a good thing, a good move happening.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next card is Swords. So this is the plans, this is the thoughts, this is the ideas, the talking, the internal dialogues that's being chewed around about this. First card is the Chariot. Chariot is about a single-minded like drive towards a goal. This is a great card. Like, man, nothing gets in the way of this. And the Rider-Waite card has these like he's actually in a chariot being pulled by sphinxes. So anyway, this card is about like really going after it, which you know, that reflects going back to the Three of Pentacles. You know, without that kind of focus and that kind of drive towards that, you don't achieve that kind of mastery.
Right. That celebration, right?
Yeah. But at the moment, there's like a lot of choices. None of them really are really great. This is the Seven of Cups. And this is where it just kind of seems like this is kind of like disillusion. Like, none of them are really happy. They looked really good, but now on closer inspection, they kind of suck. So they're in this mode of questioning, which is why we're doing this reading right now. However, followed by the universe. So like the universe is like, you've mastered your this is the last card in the major arcana part of the Fool's journey. This is where the Fool has like gone through all the tests, gotten all the things in his toolbox, and he's ready to go out and conquer the world, or like play his game, you know. Game on, wizard.
Awesome. Yeah, what a good reading.
So at the end of that, you know, that disillusion is probably, because it's in the mental column, this is probably their own construction, not reality. And it's probably like the insecurity and the like, oh, what if, you know, like moving across the entire country. Wow, is that really good?
Yeah.
So like that whole thing is full of like illusions and your own ability to create difficulties and things that could go wrong.
Julie says, pack up.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so then that followed up by the universe, which says, man, go do it. Get on the road. Go rock it out. Awesome. All right, so at the end of that.
What a good reading. I thought that was a good one.
Say it again?
I said, what a good reading. I thought that was a good one.
Well, we're not done yet. So then the Earth column is the way this would all manifest, right? And it's not so grand.
I suppose
it's the 10 of Wands, which is like, that's oppression, man. That's where you're like facing this, like, it's like you've in the Seven of Wands, you've taken on this like this thing. Your business has grown. Now the competition is all around you. You're the guy on the top of the hill, and they're trying to take you down. The Eight of Wands, it's like you get this like news about this like really quick. You get some really critical information. The Nine of Wands, now you're on even ground. You're now facing this crowd of the competition with their wands, and where the 7 of Wands looked like it was pretty much guaranteed that you were going to win, the 9 of Wands there's no
Not
guarantee.
so sure.
And
Yeah.
you could easily lose because the force appears to be overwhelming. And the key to that card is to go like charge into it
Right,
and just
right,
fuck
right.
it and go anyway, right? All right.
Good
So
view, John.
that card, the 10 of Wands, is now you've like succeeded through that. Now you're like in this place where you've like taken on so much that okay, it's kind of like the music producer or that started out as a musician, and they're in there doing songs and writing tunes, and they get pretty popular, and all of a sudden they're doing the producing, and they're like record companies, and they've got artists, and like all of a sudden they're on top of this empire, but they don't get to make music anymore. You know, and it's kind of like that. It's like
Gotcha.
the 10 of Wands is kind of like, oh man, exactly what I wanted is kicking my ass, you know. So that's kind of always kind of
Interesting.
a
Yeah, interesting.
card, especially followed by the 8 of Cups, which is like this card is so about addiction and walking away from situations that no longer serve you. And that's a place that they're in right now. And that can be literal addiction. In this particular case, I think it's like something that they've become addicted to, a situation and a way of making their way through the world that no longer serves them.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like the hangover, you know. It's like the fix doesn't work anymore, you know.
Right, 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 right. Wow.
But at the very and that's the place where it is right now. So, you know, what that means is not necessarily that they should walk away from um they should walk away from this situation, but they should walk away from the doubts and the fears that are clouding this situation because this is this water emotional cup card in this materialization part. So
Mhm.
that's saying that whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're feeling about intensely is what you'll manifest. So, you know, take control of that. That emotion is yours to channel in whatever way. That's not always easy. I
Right.
mean, like,
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. But
but
I think there's kind
it's
of
still your choice. It doesn't take away the fact that it's still yours,
right,
even though it's difficult to change, you
right.
know. But at the end of that, and the near future is the Ace of Wands, which is the beginning of a whole new boom, and the energy to start something grand and big and new, and begin that whole process. So that's a pretty amazing card to end that on. And you know, like the very first card in this was the 10 of Cups, emotional, deep, emotional, long lasting, abiding emotional satisfaction. And the way this ends up is the energy to like and this question being about moving to, you know, across the country,
Right.
you know, to a whole new
Start
gig,
over. Yeah,
a
yeah.
whole new thing, and doing something that they have never done before and taking on a whole new endeavor, you know.
Right.
Pretty good read. So
Yeah.
I guess we were not going to get to the second reading tonight, but
Uh,
we'll do another one next week.
yeah,
If
I
you
think
dig these, I don't, you know,
yeah, I do. I think we should always do one. And if anybody has any questions for readings, send them to us, and we'll always try to get to them. I think it's interesting what you were just saying because that's also you know I've said it before. I feel like I get messages right from the universe for a couple of weeks. This like a common theme. And the common theme that I've been getting is this whole idea of comfort zones, right? Of like you're not going to grow if you don't take that leap of faith and face that fear of something you might not have done before and get out of that comfort zone. You know, and that's kind of
it's the
exactly
only way you
yeah,
grow, man.
yeah,
Otherwise, you just keep repeating what you know already for the rest
yeah,
of your
yeah.
life.
And that definitely, you know, that definitely makes sense. You know, as far as for me personally, and hopefully for this person that you just did the reading for, I think you know, we'll get the meaning out of it.
Yeah, without doubt. Actually, it's pretty clear, I think.
Awesome. Well, we made it through another one of these, and these have been really good. I think you know, earlier we were talking, and you were expressing some satisfaction in how comprehensive this is, and I agree with you. I think we're probably you know, next week, like you said, we're going to go back to the Ace of Cups, and then I think we'll read a little bit out of the manual. That was a good suggestion for each,
Yeah.
to kind of get us going and things.
Well, the thing that's different about this, and the Fool's Journey normally stops at the major arcana,
Right.
but the Fool's Journey continuing out throughout the deck. It's like, okay, like the universe. Now I've got all these marbles. Now what do I do with all these skills? And following it like card by card through this, and that's the way I wrote the manual.
Right.
And I don't really know. I haven't run across it. Probably are a bunch of other ones, but I haven't really run across any other versions where it takes the journey all the way through all of the cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a cool way to continue with these. So, and if we do the manual, yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Those are
Absolutely. A very unique approach to tarot. If you are just new to this and you haven't been following along, the Wizard of Oz tarot deck is what we're talking about and what we've been talking about and what we will continue talking about because we love it. The artwork is amazing. The energy is amazing. The personalities are amazing. Brian, thanks so much. This week was awesome. And I guess we'll be back to it next week.
Jilly, awesome to see you. Celestial, as always. Rick, Audrey, thanks for showing up. We'll talk soon.
Always great to see everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Have a cosmic week.